Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Today is the Outstanding Life. It's the first show. This is really exciting. I've been working on it for quite some time, and I don't know if you've paid attention to the other streams where I've been having fun setting things up, and now I'm at a spot where I'm ready to share it. So I wanted to say hello. Welcome everybody to the chat. I see there's a couple comments already. That's huge. Thank you for coming by and saying hello. I wanted to run this show actually a little bit earlier today, but my computer actually just shut down. I found out later there was an update that I had to install. So this stream is running a little bit later than normal. I would like to go and get this show regularly I was thinking to being either on Fridays or Saturdays, but today I wanted to get something out there because it's been a little bit of a while. There's a couple of people that message me and they try and say, hey, when's the next show coming out? I've been working on a messenger bot and I haven't fine-tuned it exactly, so I'm not prepared to go and release it, especially with those new rules that are out there, the GDPR. I'm still trying to wrap my brain around that. But today, I want to talk to you about something that's really important. And so I'm just switching over to vMix, and it's actually going to be how we manage stress. Now, when you go and you manage stress, how does that, what are some tips and tricks you use to help manage stress? Is it you go for a walk? Do you take 5 minutes and you take a deep breath? Like there's certain things you can use that will definitely help mitigate some of the stress. But when we go into the big topic for today is how I go and manage it and some of the things I use to help offset some of that. But before we get into that, I wanted to ask you guys, what are some things you use when it comes to dealing with stress? We all have stress. Like there's a never-ending amount of stress out there, and it's not about like whether or not you have stress. It's just how you manage it, how you deal with it, how do you overcome it, or do you just push through it? I know some of my friends, they just bottle everything up, and then it just erupts into like this massive burst of emotion. I don't think that's advisable, and probably shouldn't do that. It's not the healthiest way. But this is the pre-show for the next few minutes, and I wanted to take a minute and see who's in the chat. Hold on. Sorry, I'm trying out this new layout. And, yes, we have Kit Bauer here. Hello, Norm. Thanks for stopping by. Tina, yes. Thank you. Got the devil horns. And then we have Amy. Amy, thank you for stopping by. Yes. So here I've got the emoji rocking. That's huge. And Tina's weighing in. She's saying that she uses video games. Video games are a great way to decompress. There's those new ones out there. I haven't tried it at all. Fortnite. All the kids are playing that one nowadays. Or the old school one, World of Warcraft. It's crazy. I think World of Warcraft is like 14 years old, and there's people that still play it. Me being one of them. It's super fun in the sense of what we can lose ourselves in, or can engross ourselves with, not as a distraction, but it's a way of helping to decompress it, be it in video games or what was that one, Ratchet and Clank, we had to run around and do all these little missions. Those are pretty fun. There's other games out there that are building ones like Minecraft I guess Tetris isn't building, it's more of blocks, but it is pretty neat, the wide range of games that are out there. My mom, now that I think about it, one of her favorite games was Dr. Mario. It's a super old game. It's going to be like 25 years old, maybe even 30. And it was all these little pills that would drop down, and then you had to organize them. It was kind of like Tetris, but it's with two colors. Again, you can have all sorts of fun with stress, and how you manage it is unique to you. Yeah, I'm just taking a look. We have Snuggling with Missy. Missy's pretty cute. And then Tina's weighing in again. We have Ark. Oh yeah, that's that player versus player one. I think that's the one where, like, if, and this is probably a good relation to today's episode, if you were playing and then someone else, like, kills you in the game, you get to keep all their stuff. Mind you, I guess that's pretty much what Fortnite is about, isn't it? I've never actually played Fortnite, but I did download Ark. I looked at it. I have it. I've just never jumped into it. Maybe that's the stress and fear of losing something that I've never actually even played yet. But the people that love it a lot, though. Ark. There's that, with the dinosaurs, I think it is. Oh, and here we have Petra. Hey, Petra. Weighing in from the Netherlands. That's actually pretty cool you stopped by. Isn't it like 3 in the morning there or something? 7 in the morning? Or it's 7 hours ahead? Thank you for stopping by. If you're just joining us today, we're actually talking about stress and how we manage stress. And one of the hot buttons that came up was video games. Video games is super popular. We love being able to lose ourselves in there. Or there's that mind, not I would say mindlessness, but it's more of there's less risk, less resolve, less on the line. There's those Clash of Clans. That was a big one a few years ago. I think that's actually what Fortnite's going to be. It's going to be a hot flash in the pan, and it's probably going to die out. Or there's the Clash Royale. I have that on my phone. It's amazing what's out there to lose yourself in video games. Or, who is it, Petra? I think you were doing Lego. You were building Lego, which that's actually pretty cool. You've made it. You're doing really good. And then Petra's saying, or at least you're an Autobot. That's cool. And then Tina's mentioning you can play like that, and there's also a single player, and you need to play with me. Oh, I didn't know that there was a whole campaign style like Dawn of War. Okay, we'll have to follow up later. That's a separate conversation. But that's actually really neat. We'll have to reach out to you. And then Petra was mentioning it is 6:30 in the morning there. So it's not 7, it's pretty close to 6. It's 10:40 at night here. And then Petra also says, or playing with the Legos, it does the trick. It is actually pretty cool. There's almost like a catharticness that comes from whatever it is that excites you, whatever floats your boat, whatever sparks your interest. That's huge. And, it's really important that we find that, and then we encourage that, be it snuggling with kittens or building Lego or playing video games. There's all sorts of things we can use to help offset some of that stress. There's no one solution, and I think we're going to jump into that here pretty quick. There's no one thing that's going to solve for everybody. Like, maybe, what is it, like cleaning for some people is really de-stressing, but then cleaning for other people, me included, it's not de-stressing. It's actually stressful, and it's trying to plan it out, what I gotta do. So cleaning for some people is de-stressing, but cleaning for other people can cause stress, very much like Lego or video games. Some people are not video game people, and that's okay too. I just really enjoy Twitch. It's almost like Netflix for me, because I can just leave Twitch on in the background, just like I do Netflix. I can leave a movie on in the background, but with Twitch, I can just leave a video game playing on the background. And even though I'm not playing it, at least I can observe someone playing it. And then somehow that's reassuring. I'm not too sure. Anyway, let's take a look. Petra's also mentioning my Lego reaction was before you started talking about it. Oh, no way. That's actually pretty cool. That's awesome. Before we jump in pretty quick as the timer runs down, I have some construction outside. I don't know if you guys can hear it. There's like the little backup where you hear the trucks beeping. I thought about closing the windows, but it's so hot in here that if I do, I'll probably just melt away. It's pretty warm. Okay, hold on. I'm going to get rid of the overlay. We're going to get the show started. And then here we go. This is actually pretty cool. So today we're actually chatting about stress. And we wanted to go and jump into the different ways of stress. So if you're just joining us, that's pretty awesome. Welcome, welcome. Drop a comment below. Say hello. And I wanted to talk about the different kinds of stress. And so for stress, it can be a wide range of things. There's like stress in the past. There's stress in the present. And then there's also stress in the future. Now, for stress that's in the past, we're going to go into each of those in a little bit here, but one of those can impact the other. It's weird. Something from the future that hasn't even happened yet can affect us today. And something that's in the past, if not dealt with, it can carry forward and impact the other ones. It can impact the present and impact the future. So it's important to be able to go and identify it, but it's also important to recognize that there are solutions, and those solutions aren't the same for everybody. Again, we just chatted about that pretty quick, but I did want to go and mention that one thing my mom, it just came to me here, my mom would tell me, she would say, Jason, there's no such thing as stress in this world. And I was like, what do you mean there's no stress in this world? There's stress everywhere. And she goes, no. There's people who have stressful thoughts, and then when people act on those thoughts, that's actually what creates the stress. So we can have stressful thoughts, and that's not the end of the world, but it's what you do with it that's important. And again, we're going to jump in here pretty quick about some tips and tricks. But before I jump into that, I want to talk about the different kinds of stress, the past, the present, and the future. And then I'll check back with the comments here in just a minute, but I want to run through this real quick. Okay, so when it comes to past stress, it's a deep conversation there. Like, past stress can mean something traumatic, some sort of event crisis point where something took place, you were in a car accident, or you had a horrible act happen to you. And those moments can stick with you. Like there's impacts. Studies have shown that there's impacts from those that are just beyond what we see and feel, because it can hold tight to us. And then another past stress can be from a loss. You lose something significant. I guess that can fall into event crisis point, but it's mainly leaning towards what I want to refer to as like grief, not just loss. You can lose money and whatnot, but it's more of a grief behind it that anchors it to stress. Hey kitty, what are you doing? You found a Q-tip. So we have lots of different kinds of stress, and there can be stress from the past, stress from the present, and the future. Sorry, I lost my train there of thought. The past stress, it's crazy how you can have different solutions to solve it, but if you don't apply the right solution to the right kind of stress, it can have a completely opposite effect. And again, that effect is individual. But if I'm really good at, let's say I'm managing stress real time as it comes in, I'm good at organizing myself, I'm good at identifying what's happening before it takes place, I might be really, really good at identifying stress and managing it real time. But if I still have stress in the back and I haven't dealt with it, that's something that can definitely take me 10 steps back. So it's not just about being really good at finding out what stress is or what stressors are for you, but it's also important to identifying that, yes, there is something that took place. Yes, it did have an impact, and it can have more meaning if it's still, I don't want to say resentful, but you're certainly holding on to it. Because if you're holding on to it, it has some sort of a meaning. I don't know about you, but if I go, well, I mentioned I was chatting with my mom. Everyone loves your mom. Everyone loves chatting with your family and your friends, and you can go to them for advice. And advice is never bad. It's always good. But you just have to identify where that's coming from. I know that if I talk with my mom, she's going to tell me everything I want to hear. Most of the time. For my family and friends, that same applies. It's kind of like a biasness that takes place. So while there is stress that's happening in the past, it's being able to deal with it and identifying that you're still being impacted by something. And maybe the solution isn't to just hold on to it. Maybe it's to just to decompress with somebody, or like a professional. There's people out there that specialize in specific stress, traumatic experiences. One of my friends, Barbara, I love her to pieces. She specializes in family resilience and relating to experiences that took place. And I'm like, man, that's actually really cool that someone can take that on, and their specialty is helping other people just take that apart. And once you break it apart, once you make it into smaller and smaller, like once you start labeling things, you're able to identify it. And then there's, what you can feel is what you can heal. And that's what I wanted to chat about relating to past stress. So I'm not going to dig too much deeper into that, maybe in future episodes, but let's move forward into present stress. So with present stress, these are mainly things that, okay, it is stressful, finding a work-life balance, and I've got relationships down below as well. They're all very different things. So finding a work-life balance so you're not engrossing yourself in countless hours of overtime, or you don't have any or video games, or you go work out at the gym, or like my friend who doesn't deal with anything, they just bottle it all up and then it just erupts in this crazy burst of emotion at the first sign of things that comes by. So there's lots of things that can take place, and if not dealt with, it can erupt, and no one wants those kinds of things. So there's methods that some people use to help mitigate current stress, real-time stress as it happens. Video games we chatted about. I like taking time to go and work out. And one thing I did last year, I wasn't really good at it in the beginning. Last year, I bought a bicycle, and I told myself, I'm going to go to the gym. And not only am I going to go to the gym, I'm going to ride my bicycle to the gym, and I'm going to work out. Last year, I checked Google Maps, and Google Maps was like, oh yeah, it'll take you 17 minutes to ride the bike to the gym. And I was like, oh, it's perfect. I signed up for a personal trainer through a work deal, and I was really pumped. It took me 30 minutes to ride the bike to the gym because I just bought the bike the afternoon before. I was not in shape. And what made it worse for me was that I had someone set aside, and they were waiting for me to help me work on working out. And I was more upset at myself for making that commitment and not being able to follow through with it. I did show up, and I was 15 minutes late, but the instructor, I guess he was kind of used to this, and he was very supportive and encouraging. He's like, don't worry about it, you're gonna be fine. But there's those inklings of, you may not want to reach out for help, be it through hiring a personal trainer or finding someone who's really good at organizing things. Again, I hate to use my mom all the time, but she's really good at life hacks. I can just ask my mom, what's a life hack for organizing my fridge? Boom, she has something worked out for it. YouTube or Twitch, those are amazing resources to be able to help find ways to help mitigate things. Now again, if you need more help beyond that, there are professionals out there again. One of my favorites was Amy Landino, or Amy TV, and she has like an organizing, I don't know what it is, it's on YouTube, but she had this one where it helped organize a calendar, and I knew that I could do it, but I didn't have any resources behind it or knew what I could make of it. But watching someone plan it out and map it, I was blown away. I was like, that's actually really easy. I can do that. Or one of my friends, Amy, she's here, she's watching, and she uses a litigation support. And there's tips that she throws in there just passively. Oh, did you know you can do this? And here's some ways. And she has special guests she brings in. And I'm learning a lot of things that are helping me passively in the background. I can fold that in. You have to remain curious in order to help mitigate some of this stress. You can't just hold on to it and not deal with it. There's different outlets for it. So with that, let's move forward and then check out future stress. So with future stress, these are mainly things where, let's say you're anticipating something and you're aware you're about to have a conversation, or you know there's a confrontation coming and you're building up some anxiety around it. So you can foresee something taking place and it's getting built up in you even before it happens. Like, there's no way stress from the future is coming back in time and bothering you. This is just stress, again, you're creating within yourself, and you're not using that, but it's not serving you. It's not helping you. It's not doing any wonders. It's not cleaning your kitchen or filing your taxes. It's actually crippling you. I was taking this course by Ryan Levesque, and he had this one sentence, and it stuck with me, and it was analysis paralysis. And it had more than one connotation behind it, but for me it stuck with, I could look at something and see it happening in the future, like I can foresee an outcome, but I would try and find a way to stop it or to mitigate around it, and that analysis would take so much time that it would stop me from doing anything. Kind of like this show. It took me forever to kind of get it up and running, but now it's here, and I'm really excited. I'm so glad you're all joining me. But that anxiety, that analysis paralysis mode, it can definitely stop you from doing amazing things. I didn't want to stop this show. I wanted to make it happen. It was a passion of mine, despite come what may, GDPR, life events, positive ups, low downs. All of that is part of the experience. And I didn't want to have anything stop me from making this a success. So it's okay to anticipate certain conversations, and it's okay to plan for them, but it's not okay to have it take up more space than it needs to. Okay, so I'm going to go check out some of the comments here, because I've been talking for a while. Okay, let's go look here. We have... Oh, wow, we've got lots of comments. Nice. Okay. Nice stinger. Yes, the transition with the blue lines going across. That was pretty cool. I got that from Storyblocks. Okay, Kit Bauer is saying you can't hear the trucks. That's amazing. Thank you for validating that. And then Petra and Amy, they're chatting. Oh, and then Petra's saying, just realizing listening, beautiful voice relaxes and de-stresses. Aw, thanks, Petra. That's awesome. And then, okay, I need a kitty cam. I actually was planning on that for the Logitech camera. I was going to have two of them, and then one would be on the kitten's post, and then the other one was going to be on me. But I saw one of my other friends, Gregor, and he had the two cameras, black and white in color, and as soon as I saw that, I was sold. I don't want to run a third PT or third Logitech camera because I'm worried about the impact on vMix, the streaming software, with running multiple. I'm already having enough issues with two. I can't imagine three or four, like with Lisa's. Lisa's an amazing show. Okay. And Petra's mentioning you can be stressed by something you're not even thinking about. Wow. How do you pinpoint that? So Petra, if you are not thinking about something, you could be like, if I was planning an event and I knew something was taking place, but I knew I wasn't preparing for it, even though it's a priority for me, even though I made a commitment about something, it can still fester in the back of my mind. In recovery, through my alcohol and addiction and the 12 steps and the 12 principles, one of the things we refer to is it's the dark, not the darkness, that sounds horrible. It's more of we're really good at shining light on what we're good at. But then as soon as it comes to the things we're not shining lights on, it's a little bit darker in that corner. And by not identifying things, by not dealing with it, by not talking about it, by not bringing it into the light, or quite simply, by not keeping your side of the street clean, by not living life on life's terms, owning that entirely, it can cause anxiousness, anxiety. So if I know I've made a commitment about doing something and I'm not doing anything to follow through with it, it's seeping in the back of my mind. Even if I'm not verbalizing it, I know it's falling, because if I'm not making it real, it's over on the corner. And if it's in the corner, pretty soon it gets dark there, because there's not a lot of stuff in the corner except things I haven't dealt with. And I just realized I got some things I got to get done after this. So I hope that answers your question, Pedro. Yes, Amy. You remember your field, your Fridays. Your Friday show, I set a reminder. I don't get to watch all of them, but I try and watch as many as I can. Amy is the bee's knees. Then Amy's mentioning the past, present, and future is a smart way to organize your thoughts. Yes, thank you. It's definitely an easier way to manage it. There's lots of other ways. There's tons of books on this. By no means is there one way to go and manage it, but it's definitely an easier way to to compartmentalize it. And then once you've got it broken apart, it's easier to manage. If you try and swallow the whole ocean, you're probably not going to get a drop. But if you work away at it and you chip away at it, eventually, you can do some pretty amazing things. Okay, we also have... Yay for the show! And then here we have Maddie. Maddie, thank you for stopping by. That's pretty awesome. Your cat looks amazing. Okay, so we've gone over quite a bit. We've chatted about the different kinds of stress. We've looked at what those stressors are. And then, okay, I'm just going to bring up the lower third. The main thing I wanted to chat about after all those things is it's a lot to identify. Because as soon as you start looking at, holy crap, this thing in the back is slowing me down, this relationship I'm in isn't adding any value, or this work conversation is building up a lot of anxiety. Looking at those things, when you start identifying all those, like once you start seeing it, you can't unsee it. As soon as you start making the checks and balances of what's adding value, what's taking away, what's increasing your, like, I'm going to jump in here. I don't want to jump in too far. But the next one, I'm going to chat about what are some things I do to help me maintain, I don't want to say as a less stressful life, but it's to be able to help identify it and manage it and move through it. I wanted to take a minute in this safety moment just to say it's okay to not know the answers, because as soon as you start identifying things, it's really easy for that identifying it to being like, oh, there's one more thing I haven't dealt with yet, and have it go in the corner. Or, you're going to have a better story for yourself, not just saying that's one more thing I haven't dealt with. This is something I'm looking forward to solving. This is something I'm actually passionate about. This is something I want to see a success. And then once you've rebranded that, you're able to then put it in a better light. It doesn't change it overnight, but it allows you to be able to go and say, hey, you know what? This is something that I'm not going to stand for, and I want it to be something amazing, because that's the kind of work that you produce. And as soon as you start rephrasing things, pretty soon you're able to, you're no longer just saying it's okay to not know, but you start entertaining the idea of, who can I reach out to that would know more about this? Who are some specialties that might have better insight? Again, if I reach out to my family and my friends, I'm probably going to hear what I want to hear. But if I reach out to someone who's specialized, maybe, in that area, be it organizing or cooking or whatever that thing is that's stopping you, maybe it's a professional. Maybe it's, at work we have this emergency family assistance program, and you can call them about anything. It's amazing. I've called them before about, like, what did I do? I called them about, or when my last summer my dad passed away, and it was a pretty impactful event, and I really didn't know how to manage it. I called him and I said, hey, I just need someone to chat with me about this so I know I'm not crazy. Or to be able to go and say, hey, this relationship I was in wasn't serving me and it wasn't really helpful. And now it's come to an end and I'm not really sure what to make of it. There's different ways you can approach that support system. There's no one solution again, but the safety moment here, the important piece is it's okay to not know. And it's okay to reach out for help, no matter what that is. Okay, let me go and take a look at the comments real quick. Take off the lower third. Oh, Petra says she's got to go to work. All right, well, thanks for stopping by, Petra. Okay, let's bring up the lower third. Here is what I do. Here's the exciting part for me. This is the build-up. For me, I use something that I learned in recovery. In the treatment center that I attended, we went over a handful of ideas, and one of them was, what are some things that you can use that are easy wins? One of those being hungry, angry, lonely, and the last one is tired. Again, these are not all-in solutions, but certainly I noticed that some of the decisions, if I make them and I'm hungry, I'm probably not going to make the best decision. Did you ever see that Joe Pesci Snickers commercial where there's really upset, or Danny DeVito, I can't remember which one it was, maybe it was both of them, where they're angry and upset and they give them a Snickers bar and then pretty soon they turn into a ballerina or something. So it was painting the idea of you can be hungry or hangry and you're probably not making the best choices. Or other pieces are, if you're angry or lonely or tired, those are all different things. If I were to go and pinpoint, if you're feeling angry as an example, and you're responding to something, be it an email or a text message, it's probably not the best state to reply in. Sometimes it's best to take a minute, take a shower, go for a walk around the block, play some video games, whatever it is, build Lego, whatever you need to help manage that. Be it 10 minutes, walk around the parking lot, 5 minutes, whatever you need to take a minute. That doesn't solve it, but it can definitely take some of the edge off. If I'm feeling lonely and I'm making a decision, it's probably not the best choice for me to start making purchases. If I'm feeling lonely, I'm probably motivated to want to, I want this, and I'm probably going to buy it on knee-jerk reaction rather than is it something that's totally adding value? Or if I'm feeling tired, again, I'm probably not going to make the best decisions if I'm tired. Now, for me to help kind of wiggle my way through that, I'm going to need a plan. And that plan for me includes mitigating being hungry, being angry, lonely, and tired. So to help me avoid being hungry, it sounds weird, but I'll do meal prep. I'll organize my meals, and I'll take rather than have that seep in the back of my mind, I'll go ahead and take the time, or my first day off, that's an easy one, and I will do meal prep. I'll prepare meals for the week on my first day off. When I first did it, it took me I wasn't that good at it. I had to buy all the spices and the food, and it was a train wreck. But then the second time I did it, it wasn't as hard. It wasn't as difficult. And then the third, fourth, fifth time, I started getting more adventurous and more creative. I've gotten to the point now where I've got enough meal prep set aside that I don't have to actually worry. It's one less thing I have to worry about because I know I've got that food thing taken care of. So by doing my meal prep for 2 hours on my first day off, that helps set me up for a week. And then, I've worked it down to 2 hours, but in the beginning it took a whole day. Rather than spend, 2 hours every day What if it was only 2 hours once a week? Think of all the free time you're going to have around that. Think of all the video games you're going to be able to play, or all the snuggles with kittens and stuff. Like, again, each person is individual. Jumping into the angry component, if I was sitting there and I wasn't sure, like if I'm still processing something, making a decision in that angry state is probably not the best. We chatted about that earlier. But if I can avoid being angry, how do you do that? You're going to get angry about anything. Like, you're going to get upset about things, right? Like, there's things out there that are going to upset you. Taxes, the truck outside. Again, there's no way you can stop those things from happening. But what we can do is we can use it to help motivate us. Anger is a signal that we can use that tells us that something needs to change. I can be upset at a relationship, or I can use this to help understand, hey, you know what? What part of me, even if it's not 100% my fault, even if it was only 1% my fault in the relationship example, I can still own that 1%. I'm not going to be angry at it, but what I can do is use that to help understand what part of me is feeling this. We're going to get into that a little bit further in future episodes, but identifying that we're having those sensations helps us change what the outcome is. It's not an overnight solution, but it helps allow us to build an action plan to help identify, label, move forward, and then have, hopefully turn it around. So being angry is not the best, and there's no way you're going to be able to remove that entirely from your life, because there's things that are always going to upset you no matter what. I was talking with one of the counselors at the treatment center, and he was telling me about, and the idea floored me. He related to having bad days, because we all have them. I have a bad day, you have a bad day, he has a bad day. And he was saying he doesn't have a bad day. I'm like, what do you mean you don't have a bad day? Everybody has bad days. Not true. In his eyes, he saw this as, you can have a bad minute, you can have a bad hour, but he's not going to let that feeling take up a whole day. He's going to give it the time it needs. He's going to use it to help move him forward, but he's not going to hold on to it. There's no way it's going to be a bad year or a bad month, but you can have a bad hour or a bad minute. When he told me that, I was like, that's amazing. I wish I could have that. And then his response was, of course you can. Anybody can have that. It's a decision you're making. And that kind of follows back with what I said earlier at the beginning. Stress is something that doesn't exist, but when you have stressful thoughts and you act on it, it can create stress. For me, that was huge when I heard that. Okay, just finishing up here, we've got lonely and tired. So to avoid feeling lonely, one of the things I do to help support me is to decompress and share, to make sure I'm keeping my side of the street clean by engaging the people that I need to engage with. So if I have certain feelings or questions or hesitations or any of that, I make sure I voice that. I mean, I can hold on to it and then compound it and stuff it away, but it's not helping anything. It's not serving anyone. In fact, it's making things worse, because the more you stuff things down, the more that you're holding on to. And then as things get compounded more and more and more, there's only so much you yourself can hold on to. The last thing anyone wants, the last thing any of your plus one, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your coworkers, your friends, your boss, whoever, the last thing anyone wants is for you to reach that pinnacle point where the next time an emotion drives by you and just gently grazes you, all of that emotion just erupts out of nowhere. So some seemingly thing that shouldn't matter, this mountain, has been blown up out of proportion compared to the molehill issue that it was. But it happens because we've held on to it. We've harnessed that resentment. We've like, you can catch yourself, and I have caught myself saying, like, oh, this is the third time this guy did this thing. Well, it's not his fault that I've started counting that's the third time that he's done that thing. It's actually on me for empowering them to be able to hold that amount of control over me, over my emotion, over my thoughts and my feelings. Be it the second time something happened, again, sure, that's upsetting, but that's not a game changer from a sense of I'm not going to compound it and give them that time. It's not worth my time. It's not worth your time. You are worth way more, especially in this. This show is about having an outstanding life. And that's the message I want to share. The last one I want to chat about real quick is being tired. Part of being tired is I shouldn't have to feel tired. I mean, if I was looking after if I was eating right, working out, doing all these different things, managing my food, organizing my emotions, in a perfect world, I wouldn't feel tired. But if I'm not exercising, I notice that I don't sleep as well. So even though I didn't want to exercise today, I made it a point to get out there, hop on my little bike. It doesn't take me 30 minutes anymore to get to the gym, guys. It actually takes me less than 17. I'm clocking it down to 10. Pretty proud of that. Really excited. But it wasn't on day one. But here I am a year later. I can get to the gym. But I can also work out and I feel better. And I'm well rested. And I'm pretty pumped about that. So I'm going to sleep well tonight. Okay, so we've talked about hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. Before I move forward, I want to jump into the comments and take a look. See who's here. And we have, Amy is sharing that the older I get, the less I want stress in my life. That's true. That's a fair statement. So I choose which things to avoid that I know will stress me. That's huge. So you can help mitigate that before it even happens. And that's probably phase 2 of this whole orchestrate, is to be able to identify it, choose to give it the amount of time it deserves, and then move forward. And then the phase 2 of that would be, let's just avoid that impact altogether. Steer it a little bit off to the right. I heard this thing one time, and it's a plane that's in the air, that's flying. It's 95% off course for the whole journey. But it's making tiny little incremental changes and shifts. Because the wind is blowing, right? Like you're 40,000 feet up in the air. You're not on course 95% of the time. But if you're making tiny adjustments, it's not that big of a deal. Because you're going to get to your destination anyway. So I like what you're sharing, Amy. You just choose not to let it impact you. Just curve it off to the left. Curve it off to the right. And it doesn't have to be an encounter. Okay. And then one of the last things I want to chat about is there any fun types of stress? Can there be fun stress? I was watching this video, and it talked about if there was no pressure on a basketball, there would be no bounce. And so there's almost like this need to have a certain amount of stress as a motivator, not as a keeper, like to hold you down. It's more of a, hey, here are some things we can do to help move us forward. The signal thing we chatted about earlier, identifying it as a signal and then using it to help motivate us. But is there fun stressors? Is there fun things that we can use to help offset this? And I did want to show you. Hold on, okay, if I did this right, hold on, I'm going to bring in an overlay. Yes, okay, I'm going to move over. So we have these GDPR, and let me go back to Gandalf. So with the GDPR, we have these new rules that we have to follow. And, sorry, my microphone's over here. Okay, so with the GDPR, we have all these rules we have to follow, and everything is getting all the emails about the privacy. We care about your privacy. And I saw this, and I thought, you know what? As frustrating as getting all those emails are, it's kind of funny that the world is bonding together to celebrate how funny this is. So, can stress be crazy? Yes. But can stress be fun as well? Yes, because we can marvel at it. We can laugh at it. I did have another one here. Hold on. This one is Jodie Foster from the movie Contact, and I saw this and this just cracked me up. She has the first message from deep space, and it says we have updated our privacy policy. The first contact we get from aliens is that they're updating their privacy policy. It's hilarious. Well, to me, it's hilarious. And then one of my favorite movies of all time, Pulp Fiction. Here we have Samuel L. Jackson. He's saying, say GDPR compliant again. I dare you. I double dare you. I remember that from the movie. I double dare you. And I think that's hilarious. And then I found the other half of the meme where the guy's in the corner and he's saying, GDPR? Oh my God. It's hilarious. I'm such a dork. Anyway, guys, I wanted to chat with you real quick about something that I find is important, and for me, that was stress. I did want to show you something that I'm using to help me out, to help identify some of the key points. Let's take this down. So one of the things I do is I have one of the Apple Watches. I got one of the sport ones. It's always on my wrist, and it keeps track of my blood pressure, or my heartbeat, sorry. So it keeps track of my heartbeat. And then if my heart gets above a certain amount, or if it gets too low, the Apple Watch will actually it'll tap me, and it'll say, hey, by the way, your heart's a little higher than it's normally. And for me, I was like, holy crap. I didn't realize that my blood pressure had gotten so high, my heart's pumping, and then the watch will just tap me and just remind me. And it anchors that. And I was like, holy cow, that's actually pretty cool. It's good data, but you have to identify the situation. And sometimes it doesn't message me until, as it's happening. But what do you do with it? Like, what is the strategy behind it? And this is where I'm going with the next thing I want to show you is... Let's bring this one in. Okay, so this is an app, and it's a free app, and I'm not going to get into are you an Android or Apple user, because with H.A.L.T, and it's wow, like the word wow, W-E-L-L, and then the word Tory, T-O-R-Y. I almost think it's a play on inventory and wellness. Maybe wellness inventory? I don't know, maybe. So H.A.L.T, it uses the camera on the back of your phone. So the camera on the back of your phone, and then what you do, hold on, let me put this down. So then what you do is when you turn it on, you put your finger on the camera, and then what it does is it shines the light through, not through your finger, but that bright light. The cameras nowadays, these cameras are so cool that they can see what's going on inside, like your heart rate. And what H.A.L.T measures is the heart rate variability. It's a free app. It doesn't cost you anything. And the variability, as I've come to learn, is the important part, because then it can take that data and then it makes suggestions. And I really wasn't paying attention to it until I was reading about it, because it gives suggestions in the app, and it says, hey, by the way, you still haven't fully recovered from yesterday, and if you want to take a day to rest, today would be a good day to do that. It doesn't tell you not to do anything, but it helps me identify, hey, you know what? I'm in a moment where I actually need to, respect my body. I need to take a minute and say, hey, you know what? Whatever I did yesterday, holy cow. There's little tags you can label, like I went to work, or I had a meeting, or I exercised, and I had a shower, or whatever. Or for me, I put coffee. Coffee is my number one tag. You know it's bad when the health app reminds you that you drink a lot of coffee. The other thing I want to chat about H.A.L.T is it's got both Apple and Google. There is a free version to it, and that's what I was using at first. There's a paid version as well. The paid version does add up to being quite a bit pricier. It's like $12 a month. But it does integrate with, it integrates with 50 different apps. Like the one I was showing you with just the camera lens, that's free. That's built into it. But if you want it to sync with your Fitbit, if you use that, it can do that. Or your Pebble, or any of there's MyFitnessPal, or this fancy scale you have. All of those things can actually add into the data, so it can have a lot more data. Again, it's free. It's pretty awesome. I'm really enjoying learning about my heart rate variability and how important that is. And I know just disregarding it can have an impact on me. And that's the last thing I want. That's the last thing anyone wants. My loved ones, my family, my friends, everyone wants a health and safe Jason. So it's up to me to find out when those events take place and what I can do about it. Sure, I'm going to have stressful situations. I'm going to have, you lose your girl, or, you miss the bus, or, there's these things that are going to happen. But they're not going to be events that'll hold you back forever. They're going to be events that help shape you as a person and allow you to move forward. And with that, I have one last meme I want to show you just before I finish up. And then this one is from Taken. I'm such a huge dork. But this one where Liam Neeson is saying, just send me one more GDPR email. Just one. Oh man. That movie's like 10 years old. That's awesome. Okay, I'm going to check out the comments real quick before we finish up. And we have Amy saying, I used to play a lot of volleyball. Definitely fun stress. Yes, exactly. There's all sorts of things you can use. For me, I used to help with martial arts. I used to help with, I think I did it for like 12 years before I moved here. And I used to actually help children to learn martial arts. I was the youngest instructor, and I was able to help pay for my lessons by helping other people learn. So it was a way for me to jump in, help the young ones, the wee ones, and become Jedi Masters. It's huge. It's awesome. It was rewarding. It was challenging, but it was definitely fun. Was it stressful? Yes, but it was the good kind of stress. It was the fun kind of stress. All right, everybody. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for saying hello, chiming in on the comments. It means a lot. I am working on a messenger bot system to be able to help get the conversation going, even offline. I didn't set it up for this one because I wanted to make sure everything is clean with the GDPR before I get it up and running. I wanted to say thank you. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate everybody saying hello. If you want to ask me a question or you have more follow-up, please leave a comment, or if you want to reach out to me personally, you're more than welcome to do so. I've been streaming this whole stream on Twitch and on Facebook. So if you wanted to stop by and check out the Twitch, you definitely can. It's just twitch.tv, and it's hella sober. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's just fun right now. I haven't shaped that into something, but I wanted to see if I could stream to two places, and it was successful. I think it's pretty fun. I'm pretty proud. This is first episode 1 of The Outstanding Life with Jason. All right, everybody, you take care. Have fun. Bye.